Ah, bollocks.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Biggie2988 coming at you over the power of the internet.
Hey YouTube, One Boys Post 1975.
Hello everybody, it's Bank Cocaine in here. Hello, it's GL76 Gaming here. Hello, Swifto here doing a quick video response. And welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. Hello, it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. What am I talking about? Hang on a second. Iron Brew. That's better. Hello, welcome to another video. Hello everyone, Bug here, back on me bus. Okay guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. This is, I'm actually recording this on Friday afternoon because I'm on holiday today and I'm actually going out tonight. I've got two dogs that are sitting beneath me and one of them has just done the most god-awful fart and I think it's him. Whoa, I trust you've had a decent enough week. It's fairly whatever. What was gaming wise, what have I been up to? I had a bit of a C64 loving earlier on this week playing. I spent a couple of hours in front of the C64 going through various games. The only problem I find, even with original hardware and these SD card things, you do tend to flick through software quite quickly. You know, you load a game up, because it loads so quick, you load it up for, you know, a couple of minutes and you think, play something else. Whereas back in the day you had to wait 10 minutes for a game to load, so you're more inclined to play it. But that's been the only gaming thing. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. I was watching a video about the C64 and Spectrum. It was basically comparing both of these. Now it's got me thinking, what was the criteria that made you end up with a particular computer? One thing that I notice in this community, sorry Mr. Flinch, in this group of like-minded people, there seems to be a pigeonholing thing that goes on. You've always had pigeonholing. When it's music, you pigeonholed heavy metal, whatever, mod, punk, you know. People have always pigeonholed things. People seem to like pigeonholing things for whatever reason. You know, you're either that or that. It's never possible to be kind of a mixture of both. But it was the same with the computer back in the day, 8-bit computers. I mean, the pigeonholed stereotypical Spectrum owner was somebody who didn't have much money, and they generally had a sort of a snotty nose. They were always having to, they would use their arm to wipe their nose. That's what a Spectrum owner was generally regarded as. Commodore 64 owner was a spotty, spoiled brat. Mummy and daddy had infinite amount of money, and he probably had a disk drive as well. BBC owners were very, very middle class. They lived in the big detached villa. They probably had a horse, and they also had a BBC because it was the most expensive. Obviously it's £500. It's good for the BBC, so it must be good for little Johnny and his homework. The Atari was probably somebody whose parents didn't really know. They probably the dad got it from a guy at work for not a lot of money. You got it cheap, I'll get him an Atari. Amstrad were the parents that wanted to, they went at Christmas time, they went to get a computer for their son, and they saw one that came with a free TV, so it must be good, so we'll buy him that. So that's why he ended up with an Amstrad. So yeah, that's generally how people pigeonhole. That's the sort of stereotype owner of these machines. But my one thing that always annoys me is when I hear people talking about C64 owners saying that they were, you know, middle class or spoiled, or, well, I was none of that. I mean, when I got my C64 I would be 17. Now when computers first came out, excuse me, I'm going to do a monkey spaz and have a little drink of my delicious Lucozade. Yeah, when computers first came out, I obviously got various magazines, and I would flick through them avidly, you know, looking to see what one I would like. Now, the C64 was a non-starter, as was Atari. They were just both ridiculously expensive. The BBC, forget it. £400 back in, what would it be, 1983? No chance. That was over a week's wages. So I didn't get any of these. When my mum and dad did eventually agree to get me a computer, I was really wanting, I was hoping for a Spectrum. And they decided one day to take me into Edinburgh in the car to buy a computer, and we went to this place called Comet, which is no more. It's one of these big kind of, it was basically like a PC World of its day. It sold fridges and freezers and various white goods and computers. So we went along there, pardon me, we went along there to get a computer, and I was wanting the Spectrum. I think it was going to be the, was it Spectrum 16K? I don't know, I can't remember, but I wanted the Spectrum. We went along and we had a look at them, and I don't think they were even connected up to anything. But the big driving factor for this, for what the computer I was going to end up with, was going to be the price. And my dad spotted a Texas T1994A, and it was a wee bit cheaper than the Spectrum, and they thought it looked nice. It had a proper keyboard, it was silver, it was quite elegant looking, it was quite much more expensive looking than this little rubber keyed Spectrum. So they bought that one for me. Now I do remember at the time sort of saying, can I not get the Spectrum? But no. The thing is, back then, there was no clear winner. It wasn't like maybe 1985, 86 when the Spectrum and the C64 were head and shoulders above everybody else. Back then it was still very much a, oh, that's my gauntlet kicked in. It was still very much a, you know, flip your coin in the air and decide what one's going to be successful. The Texas might have turned out successful. Obviously we know that's not the case, but so really, even though I ended up with the Texas and I wanted the Spectrum, I wasn't gutted, because they were all equally as popular as each other at that point. So any one of these computers could have been a big seller. I mean, there was obviously stuff like the Auric and the Electron and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up with a Texas because that was the cheapest computer. When I started working, excuse me a second, I've got to pick my daughter up. Look at the time, I've still got half an hour. When I started working, I had a part-time job, the first thing I wanted to do was get a computer, and the only way to do that was by this shop, Wilco. They had a interest-free credit thing. You basically bought this and you paid it up over, I think it was a year I paid it up over. So I'm just trying to think, the only people that I knew that had a computer back then were Commodore 64 owners. I didn't know anybody that had a Spectrum. I mean, I had left school at that point. Well, no, I was still not, that's not true, I was still at school, but I didn't really have, my pals at that point didn't have computers, so I didn't have anybody to kind of compare computers with. So it was guys that I worked with in this Wilco. It was a part-time job after school, and I got talking to them, and it turns out they had Commodore 64s, and this one guy, Brian, I went up to his house, and he was obviously spoiled, which I know he was. He had a disk drive, he had the monitor, he had the full Monty, so to speak, as far as C64 goes. So I saw this machine, and right away I knew that was what I wanted. You know, that was the only computer I'd really had actually seen, and I thought that's the one I want. So when I got enough money together, I bought this Commodore 64 and I paid it up, I think it was £12 a week. So that's how I got my C64. I wasn't spoiled, it was my choice to get it. And it was only later on that I got pals with this other guy who had a Spectrum, that I first got to kind of know spectrums, or get to see spectrums. Thing is, as I was saying, I was kind of making a sort of tongue-in-cheek, thing about the stereotypical owners of these 8-bits, but I used to go to a computer club. I use the term computer club very loosely. I mean, it was basically an excuse to go up and basically pirate every single game under the sun. It was on a Wednesday. It was it 6 till half 8? 6 till 9? Something like that. It sounds ludicrous now, but where I stayed, I still stayed with my parents at that point, I'd be 17, 18 years old. It would probably be a 2-mile walk. It was in this big school. It was actually in the science lab of this school, and basically you had to take your own equipment along. So me and my mate, he had his Spectrum, I had my Commodore 64. You would actually have to carry your Spectrum, your Commodore, your TV, believe it or not, you had to take your own TV. So we would actually walk for 2 miles carrying a bloody TV, and we used to actually put the computer into a suitcase. Looked like we were going on bloody holiday. We're walking up the road. I mean, we could have got bloody jumped or anything, got attacked, and somebody could have nicked our computer. But we had this big suitcase each with our computer in it, and I had the TV in the other hand, the wee portable TV. I mean, it was probably like a 14-inch TV. And we used to walk the 2-3 miles to this computer club every week. And you would set up, and right away everybody, they're stinking, they're absolutely stinking. Right away you would congregate in your own wee group. Everybody had their own little group, and very occasionally somebody would cross over into another group, but invariably you went back to your own wee group. The C64 guys, we were probably the oldest guys there. We were 17, 18. We were kind of the leaders of the place, All the other kids were younger than us, so we were the ones that, we never bullied anybody, anything like that, but we were the ones that kind of controlled what went on, There was a caretaker. I mean, he used to he would come in, have a quick look, and then he would piss off probably up to the canteen, and then come back an hour later. He obviously knew what was going on, either that or he really didn't give a shit. But we would congregate with our C64s. I mean, there was a few guys who were that were right into the piracy scene, the hacking scene. I mean, one of the guys later went on to become the Red Baron in Amiga cracking circles. He used to crack a lot of games, but it was fantastic. Okay, sorry about that guys, that was a technical malfunction. The camera can only record up to, I think it's 2 gig file size, and then it cuts off. So what was I talking about? Yeah, John, he was a kind of cracker back in the day, and he had access to all the latest kind of American software. So all your early sort of stuff before US Gold brought it across to the UK, I was playing stuff like Spy Hunter, Up and Down, Blue Max, Sheamus, Championship, is it Championship Wrestling, the one that came out from Epix? Summer Games, Winter Games, Bruce Lee, all these classic games, Tapper, Drelbs, Fort Apocalypse, all these games, I was playing these long before they were released in the UK. But yeah, so the C64 guys, we were we looked upon ourselves as the leaders because we were the oldest guys there. But like I said, we weren't mean to anybody, but it's just because we were the oldest ones, we sort of felt we were the ones that had to kind of take charge. BBC owners were non-existent. Never ever saw a BBC owner, probably because he wouldn't have been allowed to come along. In fact, you know what? The high school that it was held at was not a public school, what the hell would you call it? Not a community school, what do you call it? Just a normal school, not a public school, just a normal community school. And probably the guy that owned the BBC wouldn't have been allowed because he'd have been middle class, he'd have probably gone to a private school. So that's why there was no BBC owners. Amstrad owners, I don't think, it was before Amstrad really came popular. Did it ever become popular? I'm not sure. No, it was before, yeah, it was kind of before Amstrad really became a viable platform. And then the third one you got was the Atari. Now, there was only ever one guy that used to bring his Atari along. I used to feel sorry for the guy. I mean, the guy he actually had a physical disability, which which was a shame for him, and it just kind of added to feeling sorry for the guy, because he used to sit there with his TV on, and he would play Stealth and Bruce Lee and Ball Blazer. These were the only games that he ever had, and I have to say these games were much better on the Atari than on my C64. Not that I would ever tell him that. The funny thing was, although the guy used to sort of sit himself, and I don't know why he went along, because he would take his stuff along to the computer club and just sit himself and play his own computer. Aye. So this guy, he would go along to the club with his own computer, and he would sit and play his own computer, and invariably he would, on a very odd occasion, he would kind of walk past and kind of sort of glare at what we were doing. He was actually quite a mean person. He wasn't a particularly nice guy. Maybe because he's had a hard time, the way he looked, whatever, I don't know, but we would very rarely talk to him, and he never ever spoke to us. So he would just kind of sit himself and do what he did. The Spectrum guys, they were all the younger kids. They all had anoraks. They all had snotty noses. There was a few guys. I mean, we used to talk away to them. But they were always the younger kids, and it was, it wasn't. We didn't play computer games. We would literally load them up and think, all right, yep, I'll have a copy of that, and we just copied them. It was mental. I don't know, it's one of these things when you look back, or at the time it seemed like a really, really long period of my time. It seemed like years. Probably in reality I probably only went to the club maybe for a year or something. It probably wasn't very long, but when you're only 15, 16, 17 years old, a year seems like a long time in your life. But aye. Yeah, anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but aye, that's for some reason, everybody, I wanted a Spectrum, and the reason I ended up with a Commodore 64 was pure and simply because my mum and dad wouldn't buy me a Spectrum. They couldn't afford it, and I got a C64 because that was the only computer that I was actually aware of. And well, that wasn't entirely true. I was aware of Spectrums and things, looking at magazines, but as far as actually hands-on, I'd never seen a Spectrum before. So the C64 was always going to be, that was the obvious choice. It was the only computer that actually had a chance to play, and I liked it, and so that's how I went down that road. Right, okay, second part of this waffle is going to be a kind of video response, and it's to Dean Vinnie Corleone 62. Now Dean, he didn't actually put it out as a video response, he was putting out a kind of waffle, giving his thoughts on it, and it was a really, really enjoyable video. I've got to say, he was asking what defines retro for you. Is that exactly what he was saying? Yeah, what defines retro gaming for you? It's something that I think we've all spoke about over the years. I mean, I've always had this kind of pet hate. I know Infected Flinch hates the word community. I've always hated the word retro. Retro games, because it's, I watch old films and you don't deem it as retro films, it's just films. Regardless of when a system came out, to me it's still a game. I think possibly if there had been a system that came out before I was born, or before I got into the scene, I may look upon that as like a retro system. I don't know. Because I'm an old bugger, I was here right at the very, very start of this whole thing, so really all the video games that have kind of come out since, all the systems have all come out since I've been into the hobby, if that makes any sense. But personally, we'll start off personally, what do I define as I'm going to use the word retro system. I think, to my mind, it's a system that's, I think a significant amount of time has to have passed for it to become classed as an old sort of classic retro system. I mean, if the Xbox 360 technically, I don't think they make games for it anymore. I might be wrong. I don't know. I've certainly not bought any for a long time. So technically, that system is no longer supported. Now, I would never, well, not never. I wouldn't call that a retro system. I personally struggle to even look at something like a PlayStation 2, or even a sort of a PlayStation. I struggle to call in retro systems. I think because I've been playing games for such a long time. I started off with a C64. I was playing 8-bit games. The games a lot of the time were absolute rubbish, but that's what we had. That's all that we had to kind of play. Then when these other systems came along, the Atari, the Amiga, they really, they improved things a lot. The graphics became multicolour. You had polygons. They looked like a next generation. Then when, the PlayStation to me was mind blowing at the time. I mean, it's hard for anybody under the age of probably 25, 30 to really understand this, but the PlayStation for its time, that dog is just pumped again. Dearie me. That's absolutely awful. Yeah, it's totally thing with my train of thought. Yeah, the PlayStation, when that came out, it was absolutely revolutionary. I mean, we were playing stuff like, I don't know, Shadow of the Beast and Lemmings on the Amiga, which, good games, absolutely good games, and suddenly here was a system that could play Ridge Racer. Now Ridge Racer was like a current arcade game, and here we were, we had this thing, it was like sleek. I mean, I've got it there, where is he? There he's up there. This sleek brown box, grey box. It looked futuristic, and here we are playing Ridge Racer, this multi-thousand polygon racer game. It just looked mind-blowing. So, to my mind, I always look upon the PlayStation as being cutting edge, and it was cutting edge back then. Same with the Saturn, what else? Sega Saturn, the 3DO, all these systems. Obviously, as time's passed, I'm starting to look at these systems as being old systems. I mean, the PlayStation came out, I don't know when, it's over 25 years, or 20, so it's certainly over 20 years ago. So yeah, the PlayStation would definitely be regarded by some as a retro system, and I suppose I would call it that. I think for me, a sufficient period of time has got to pass before I will then look at a system as being retro. But again, it goes back to what I was talking about, pigeonholing computer systems. I don't know why we have this fascination of pigeonholing games or systems. Is that retro? Is that not retro? I mean, I mentioned a few weeks ago there's a Facebook for sale page, and it's it's selling retro systems, and I put up an original DS, or not an original, I put up a DS Lite for sale, and the post was promptly removed because it wasn't classed as retro. So yeah, there's people who have this, that's retro, that's not retro. You speak to anybody, you take 100 video gamers and ask them what system would they define as retro, and where do you draw the line? There's usually a line, that's retro, that's not retro, and I'll guarantee that probably most people will differ in what they class as retro. Certainly somebody who's 20 years old is going to look upon the Xbox, PlayStation 2, Saturn, possibly even the Wii, because that's kind of no longer supported. They would definitely look at all these systems as retro. Whereas to my mind, I tend to think, oh, there he's going again. What's actually surprising with that is, it only does that noise once every 15 minutes. You'd think to get people to play it, they would have had it do it more often. Right, when you're quite finished. I've never noticed that before, it makes some god unearthly horrible noise there. What is retro? I don't know. Everybody looks upon retro as different. I tend to think of retro as being anything, probably the PlayStation backwards. PlayStation 2, yeah, probably. Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, definitely not. But it's just one of these things. Everybody's got a different perception of retro, but I really don't understand the hang-up that we all have about having to, we feel this need to categorise what is retro and what's not retro. I really don't see. To me, they're all just games. That's an old game, that's a newer game, they're all games. I don't understand this fixation with retro, and that's why it annoys me when people call games, oh, are you a retro gamer? No, I just like video games. I call myself a video gamer, enjoy playing video games. Like I said, I wouldn't, if I went to see Star Wars, if I watched Star Wars last night, which was from 1977, I wouldn't class myself as a retro film person. It's just an old film. So, anyway, right, I'm just, can anybody guess, there's no prizes, but can anybody guess what game that is? The reason I put that on is because that was a game that always seemed to be in John Menzies' shop window running on the Commodore 64. So anyway, stick your comments below if you can guess what game it is. Pickups. I got myself one of these things, the Raspberry Pi 3. Why did I buy it? I'm not really too sure. It was a bit of an impulse buy. But you know what? For 35 quid for a, I don't know, what is it? Quad processor. I don't know, you know what, I'm not even going to attempt to try and figure out what it is. It's got built-in Wi-Fi, it's got built-in Bluetooth, it's apparently 50% quicker than the Pi 2. What I'm hoping to do is, I've got one of these X-Arcade little cab things, it's like a wee bar top type thing, which you use for putting an iPad in. What I would love to do is put that thing inside it to have a little mini meme cab. Now I've put on this thing called Retro Pi, you've probably seen it before. I know Steve Benway, I'm sure he did a video of it, a really good video. Retro Pi is a piece of piss to install. You put it on an SD card and then all you have to do is you put ROMs across on the SD card. So I've got it running MAME, I've got it running the C64, Spectrum. I'll probably do my own little sort of, you know, Mamemeister looks at type thing, the Raspberry Pi, and show you just how simple it is to actually do it. But yeah, go and check Steve Benway's thing out. But absolutely awesome. For 35 quid, it's a mind-blowing system, you know. It's who would have thought, you know, that you were going to get a fully fledged computer for that kind of money? It's just absolutely nuts. And the fact that it's you know, it's half the size of that box means that you can get, oops, just dropped it on the dog, you can get a bit of blue tack and you could stick it in the back of the TV and it connects obviously via HDMI. You can connect an Xbox 360 controller with it, so you've got a fully fledged sort of classic video game system on the back of your TV on a little box like that, so definitely worth checking out. So anyway, listen, I've only got the one question excuse me, from Mr. Down the Rabbit Hole. Hi Alan, and I've not even looked at this one yet. Hi Alan, I'm wondering what you thought of Infected Flinch's vlog discussing the notion of community in the mob. It's been very much in my mind in the past week or so, especially in light of all that Coleco Chameleon nonsense. I'd like to think that the retro video game crowd is a fun bunch sharing the interest in old games, and for the most part of it is. However, a major split began about a week ago over comments and videos posting about the Coleco Chameleon, enough to cause followers of two big YouTubers to begin hurling accusations at each other on social media, and it proves what Infected Flinch said about the mob perfectly. Do you think our hobby group have changed into an opinionated mass, or are we still a fun bunch, loving bunch who enjoy each other's company face to face? I did read about that Coleco Chameleon. Now anybody that's not caught up in it, basically there was I think it was a Kickstarter thing. A group of people put together this prototype. It was going to run ColecoVision games, and they called it the ColecoVision Chameleon. It was going to run using a wireless gamepad. Now apparently they took along this prototype to some show, and what they actually had in it, some of the pictures they actually posted of this prototype, the board that was inside it was a video card from a PC somebody actually spotted it, and there was a side-by-side photograph of the video card and this chameleon, so they basically mocked up this machine. So, which is pretty bad, because I mean, I think they were taking people's money. I'm not going to comment too much on it because I don't really know the background behind it. But basically, this machine, it was a bit of a kind of a vaporware type thing. Now, I'm not aware of the videos that you're talking about, Kev. People slagging each other off. One thing that I've learned using the internet for many years is there's always going to be a bunch of people who just for the sake of it, they like to be nasty, they like to be destructive, they'll criticise, you know, they'll poo-poo what other people have done. It's the easiest thing in the world to get involved in something like that. Yeah, I mean, you know, thumb downers. I mean, I've watched a few fantastic videos. I can't remember what it was. I was watching some fantastic videos a few weeks ago, and you know, you couldn't possibly dislike them, and yet there was people giving it the thumbs down, and it's just like, why, what the fuck is that about? Seriously, you know, if you put a video up saying me playing Manic Miner, and it's a video of you playing Manic Miner, what do you expect? You know, the step for a hint is in the title, me playing Manic Miner. So what do you get? Somebody playing Manic Miner. Bet you'll get somebody giving it a thumbs down. But I'm convinced that is just, there's always going to be fuckwits out there who love nothing better than just going on to something like YouTube, sorry again, going into something like YouTube and just being destructive, putting smarty comments. I mean, I was watching a fantastic video channel yesterday, and some of the insults that this YouTuber was getting, really disgustingly personal insults made against him. And I've got to say, I think if I was getting stuff like that, it would seriously make me reconsider or consider my future on YouTube. We all, I mean, your second point, Kev, are we still a fluffy bunch of people who enjoy video games? I would say so. In the main, we're all good guys. You know, we're all here, we're all having a laugh. It's all a bit of fun. You know, hence the start of my video. Hopefully you'll take that the spirit of which it was intended. Certainly no offence was meant, but it's just a bit of a laugh. But aye, we do this for free. We don't make money out of it. It's just a hobby, and you know, unfortunately there's always going to be people who just like to be destructive. If they weren't being destructive on YouTube, they'll be the people that go into Facebook and just like post malicious remarks. But anyway guys, listen, that's my daughter home from school, so I'm going to have to kind of cut this a wee bit short now and get her some lunch. So yeah, that's it. It's been a shorter than usual waffle, which maybe hasn't been a bad thing. I've not been particularly prepared for it. But anyway, so I trust you have a good weekend. As usual, thanks very much to all the continued support that I get. I get a lot of fantastic comments, and that all makes a massive difference. I really appreciate all your support. To all the guys, all the people that have subscribed, all my new subscribers, I hope you've seen enough here that might make you want to continue to watch my videos. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to see more videos about me talking pish, then just hit that subscribe button. And very lastly guys, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching my Mamemeister channel. Please feel free to like, comment or subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter.